All right. Well, hey, thank you everyone for joining us for our session CS Week with Coder Z. I'd like to welcome a wonderful partner that we're collaborating with as part of our hashtag WeAreQ collaboration. Kathy Scott with Coder Z. Kathy, welcome.
Thank you.
Please do share with us, and we'd love to learn more about Coder Z. You do have host privileges, so you can
Perfect.
share your screen when you're ready.
That is what I'm going to do right now. Let me make sure. Can you see the Coder Z logo?
Thumbs up.
Okay, good, 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 good. It usually gives me a like a square around it or something, a green square. So thank you, Michelle and Chris and Omar and any of you listening to the recording. I appreciate the opportunity. And Chris said before we got started, a focus on equity and just making sure that every student has access to what we're doing. And that's sort of exactly the things that Coder Z focuses on and talks about. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through both a little bit of a presentation as well as each of our curriculum resources to give you an idea. And Michelle, we definitely will have some things for elementary level, maybe not first grade though. I will be very honest with you. Reading levels
That's
is what really
fine. Who
challenges
knows
me.
what I'm
So,
teaching next year?
exactly. And you said you did some after school as well. So one of the
Right.
things that we're seeing now, just like we've all been talking about, is really STEM, the pulse of STEM and what we're seeing. STEM ends up bringing curriculum to life. And right now we've had to shift to a virtual environment, either planned or as a pivot because of the outbreaks. And STEM brings the core content to life. It really does. Because of the virtual environment, school districts are having to reassess what they look at, the partners, the curriculum partners they bring, so that you don't isolate certain students and you open the doors for everybody. So we're really trying to make sure that there is equity in that. And of course, that growing role of computer science for students and the need to have students ready for careers in computer science. But with the caveat that teachers don't have that background. We have teachers here today who do, um, but many teachers do not. And we have a whole lot of kids that we haven't reached yet, and we have to find them all. So we have to make sure that no experience is pretty much required to be successful. And so then the other piece is equity in the era of digital, both from equity of access to devices, equity of access to the internet. Some places that's still an issue. So we still have to have a balance, but equity being the core. What is Coder Z? So Coder Z is two things. We are a coding and robotics curriculum for everyone. And as we've talked about earlier, Chris can attest to that. Yes, everyone has access and everybody gets their own robot in Coder Z. We are also a global virtual robotics competition. So we have both solutions for students and teachers. And then you might say, okay, why virtual robotics? Because it makes a lot of sense. You have the physical robots. Yes, there's still definitely a benefit to having the physical robots. But when you have a curriculum that focuses on a virtual robot, one sort of funny aspect is that you don't have to buy replacement parts for these robots. The other piece is you actually embrace all of those 21st century skills that we talk about: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. In addition, computational thinking. So when you bring together computational thinking, critical thinking skills, those are your higher order thinking skills, sort of helping create those problem finders, problem solvers, and problem thinkers that we really want kids to be. And those are the kids who actually end up getting the jobs, those kids that we've helped learn that big picture and how to really work within that. So virtual robotics allows for that, all of that to take place. You can have a group of kids that can collaborate on a mission and actually work together to create the best code. It's incredible. And through that, they have to communicate clearly between each other. Why Coder Z? The core of what we do is inclusivity, And I also like to include the word equity because not only are we inclusive, we also want to be equitable. We want to reach as many kids as possible, and we want to expose them so that they can, and we can find the kids who didn't really know they loved coding and robotics. And sometimes, Michelle, that starts in first grade. And so you just open that door and you help them see how fun it can be and engaging. So we do that, Coder Z does that through engaging 3D virtual games. And yes, I said games. When you play, you learn in an interdisciplinary approach. So we start with basic math skills, yes, as basic as addition and subtraction. And we go all the way up through trigonometry, basic science concepts, just moving forward, moving backwards, all the way up through gravity, higher physics level coursework that's required in robotics. It's a flexible environment because it is virtual. So it can fluctuate with the need and the implementation model that you have. We also talk about a high ceiling and a low floor. So we want to make sure that students with little or no experience have a great experience. And we also want to make sure we're challenging the kids who need to be challenged. And we do that in a lot of ways. And I'll show you those ways when we look at the curriculum. So ready for any learning scenario. So teachers have to get very creative today because they are on a pivot. They're using Zoom, they're using Teams, they're using, everything that you can think of to engage with students. And we want to make sure that that engagement is fun. So it can be done in a hybrid environment where you have a couple of things going on at the same time, kids online, kids in the classroom. That has to be the hardest thing in the world. Maybe there are a few places that may be still going fully on at face-to-face, and many and most places are fully remote. So Coder Z in a virtual environment is ready for any learning scenario. So we're going to actually take a look at the curriculum, and I may have to do a new share. So let me change my screen. And here we go. Let me make sure I'm sharing it. And if you'll give me a thumbs up, Omar, if you see the platform and the courses. Excellent, good. That just gives me the okay that I'm there. This is our platform, and what I'm going to start with is a student view. And in this student view of this mission, we have packets of missions, and each packet is essentially a lesson. So our curriculum courses run anywhere from 15 to 25 hours, depending on the course. And we have, believe it or not, a free course that's about 3 hours worth of content. And I will definitely share more about that one with you as well. This will show you just the basic layout of our lessons for our students and what the missions look like. On the left, you'll see the workspace and you'll see the different options. This is a block-based coding solution. We have 4 courses that use Blockly, and we also have a 5th course that uses text-based Python coding. So you see the options here for the students. The right side is the simulation space. I'm going to restart this mission so you can see from a student's perspective that we also have embedded instruction in some of the missions. Not all of them, but some of them. In this particular one, we're going to meet the wait for block. The drive block drives the robot forward, and the wait for block will let the code, no, it's late, forgive me. The wait for block will tell the code how long to run the code behind it before moving to the next block. So it's going to give us definitions, milliseconds is a second. And then this is going to tell us that the drive block is going to set at 0 is going to stop the robot. Okay, so then let's try it. Everything you do in coding, you got to try it to see if it works. Well, we're going to have some issues here, and it's going to point those out. It's going to help walk us through debugging. Let me just make sure I get this highlighted, the code. Oh, there we go. Let me try that again. And then we have to go backwards, and so we have to give it a negative number, and it walks us through that whole process. And now we're going to run this simulation again. The student's goal in all the missions, oh, it's not low, there it is. The student's goal in all the missions is to reach the target. And I'm going to stay in this mission to show you a couple of other things. So we have the code that got us to our solution. You can also see the text-based code here. I think I heard somebody say they have EV3 Mindstorms. I think Omar has some. This particular course is our only course where we can actually download the code into an EV3 Mindstorm. Click the download button, and that's all you have to do. Super simple, but this is the only course. So when I want you to watch the Java code on the right and see what happens when I move the blocks. So you'll see it change. So there's a direct correlation between the blocks and the Java code on the right. It helps bridge that gap for students to see the connection. A couple of other things that we have are the motor data, the arm data, and the sensor data. This is our heads-up display. And when I run the mission this time, you'll see the numbers change. So the students can actually make the correlation between what's happening here in the data and what happens there. So there's a lot of different tools that we provide so that the students can make those connections with a virtual robot. Hopefully that makes sense. The only other thing I want to make sure I show you is we also have manual displays for students to work and manipulate the arms, manipulate the robot, and move it. And that's just in different missions require different things. So we have a lot of different tools for the students.
Hey, Kathy, when you manipulate the arm, does it give you real-time data on the position of the arm?
Yes, it will. Let me go back. Okay, so let's go back into that mission. That's a great question. And so we'll look at the heads-up display. And so we just have to give the heads-up display. And here's the arm. So let's go ahead and open these up. And let's try it. So when I use the manual, so here's my arm manipulation. So do you see that change right there?
Okay, that's huge. That's a big deal.
Yep, isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? I just love all that kind of stuff. So the students can actually make that and say, okay, if I have a situation where I need to use the arm, they may have to put in a -46 because on the manual display, that's what got them to where they needed to be. So back to the blocks, I forgot to tell you about this, Chris. This is a perfect opportunity. The high ceiling that I talked about, where we're really challenging kids, students can create their own smart blocks. And a smart block, this is unique to Coder Z. A smart block is a series of commands using the blocks available that may allow students to create more efficient code. So in coding, we always know that there's multiple ways to get to your target, right? One maybe, they're all correct. You get to your end result. Efficiency in coding is king. And so when students are allowed to create a series of blocks that may be more efficient and they can repeat and use them again, just because this gets me to my target doesn't mean that's the only way I'm going to get to my target. And so that's really allows the students. So they literally click on smart blocks and can create and save their smart blocks for use in other missions. Isn't that cool?
Kathy, that's huge because that's the foundation of functions. So they're defining functions, and therefore you can have a function competition. Who's got the best function to accomplish the goal? Boom!
Oh my gosh, Chris, that's amazing. I love that idea. I absolutely love that. And so yes, and you have that available in all of our courses. So that I just wanted to show you using Cyberbiotics 101 and that particular lesson, what the missions look like. So now, Michelle, this is for you, for lower level, elementary. Coder Z Adventure uses the Spike Prime robot. And when I talk about very basic math, that's what I'm going to show you. So it's an entry level, very basic concepts in math and science and robotics. We want to get kids familiar with the drives, and we want them to be comfortable with the movement is what we really want them, and the connection between the code and the movement of the robot. So the heads-up display in this particular course shows a top-down view. So we also have ways for students to measure. So I can literally measure this if I didn't have my numbers there. I can also do and measure angles. So I can literally give me an angle. And when you start doing turns with the robot, you're going to need to know your measurements. And so we actually provide all those tools where you students can do all of that. So in this particular one, we want to make sure our numbers are used right. So we have 4 minus 1, and here's your 3 right there. Okay. So just to give you an idea, it still works the same as the mission that we looked at before, but you also see we have fewer blocks to choose from here. So we're not trying to overwhelm these kids. So this is really, Coders the Adventure is really for that upper elementary, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. So with your students though, Michelle, let's say, are you at a Title I school, Michelle? Just shake or nod your head.
Yes.
Okay, so you actually can have access to this free at no cost for 6 months because you're at a Title I school. I will post in the chat the link for that. This is something with your 1st grade students you could do as a whole group, okay? And you could sort of explain it and start introducing them to those concepts.
Right.
The reading level is going to be too hard for your 1st graders. They're still
some
learning.
of the kids that I actually taught to code, they are in 5th grade now.
See,
So, I mean,
this
that
is
would be perfect. I can reach out to them and their teachers. They're in the GATE programs. So they definitely make time for a lot of STEM.
Perfect. And this is that engagement time. So right now, one of the big issues with virtual learning is student engagement. This is definitely a way to get your kids engaged. So the other thing I want to point out here is we have our courses listed as novice, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. That is by design because we really want you to understand the skill level that we're introducing when we're doing robotics. This is a novice level, beginner level. That's a solid middle school curriculum. So you're still working within Blockly with Java code. When we get to Cyberbiotics 102, the math gets up into trigonometry and physics, higher level physics. So you can actually even see here, we have an uneven surface that you have to navigate with your robot. I'll just show you, here's a ramp that I'd like to show for this particular course. So you can see from the top down that the movement has to go back far before it can go forward. One of the low ceiling pieces we have for teachers, so let's say that you're a teacher with little to no experience, but you want your kids engaged and you want them to have fun with this. We actually have the open solution for all teachers for all of our missions. So if I'm a teacher with little to no experience teaching coding or robotics, this will allow me to have a way to help my students and say, okay, this is where you need to be. I can go back and do some homework. So I'll just run this mission so you can see from a high level that, yeah, we've got to go way back before we gain momentum. The neat thing I like to show on this is you can go off the platform and you do not have to buy any replacement parts for Ruby. This is Ruby, the Coder Z robot. And I'm going to go back to the Learning Center real quick, where I can show you, we end up with 4 different robots your kids can work with. That is also by design, because now you're going to start with the Spike Prime, and things you learn about the Spike Prime in drives is going to transfer to the EV3 and the drive that they're going to use in an EV3. Just because they don't look the same doesn't mean the commands are going to be totally different. So I want to make sure you see that we have different robots for the kids, so there is a transfer of knowledge from one robot to another. So Cyberbiotics 102, high-level physics, high-level trigonometry, skills and concepts for robotics are at a higher level because of uneven surfaces and the physics behind the knowledge in there. Python Gym teaches the same skills, reinforces actually the same skills that they learned in Cyberbiotics 102. And now we're going to program with Python text-based coding. Excuse me.
Wait, Kathy, I got a question for you then.
Absolutely.
For those first levels, you keep on talking about having a real-time editor in JavaScript. And then when you get to that, I think it was 102 or past the 102, then all of a sudden you have a real-time Python editor. So is there an option though in earlier levels to see a real-time Python editor? So when I do the drag and drop system, I can also see the Python.
I'm going to show you the only other course that we have that has Python, and I'll show you that next. That's our Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge. And so, Chris, the other 3 courses use Java as the code behind the blocks. And so that's, but I will show you the Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge, and it does use Python. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, if you can do Java, then the transition to Python is not. It's falling down a hill.
So that's interesting that you say that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you from the big picture. Okay, so Cyberbiotics 102. This is it is Blockly with it. This is the skills that they're going to be reinforced in Python Gym. So the code that goes along with that, this is Java. So one of the questions I've gotten by teachers, well, if it's the same skills in Cyberbiotics 102 as Python Gym, can they copy the code from Cyberbiotics 102 into Python Gym? And they can't, because this is Java. So when they do get to Python Gym, the skills are the same. We didn't want to reintroduce skills. So this is what the way you would look at this, Chris, is a practice environment for Python. So like you said, once you do the Java, moving to Python is like rolling down a hill. So that's exactly why. So that you can practice that hill roll on your own, but you don't have to worry. You already understand those basic concepts and skills that they learned in Cyberbiotics 102. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you can see here that we also embed this instruction. And so we're going to walk kids through some things. We're not going to totally teach Python, but give you an opportunity to practice Python. And so that's exactly what they're doing here. So I think I've already got my correct solution loaded here. I'm not sure if it's correct or not. I think, nope, I should have done the open solution. So we're trying to stay in between the 2 negative blocks. Obviously, I didn't do my open solution. I could have done that for the teacher, but you can see where the kids, again, we're trying to reach the target, stay away from the negative blocks so we don't lose any battery power. That whole perspective is there for the kids. So the other course that I mentioned is Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge, a 3-hour course that is also free. And I will provide the link for that as well. This is our first partnership, CoderZ's first partnership with the Amazon Future Engineers. They came to us last year and said, okay, we want to build a course that teaches students about Amazon fulfillment centers and the Amazon robot Hercules. So this is what we built.
Yeah, I recognize that robot.
The Hercules. Okay, good.
Yep.
And so this course does have the code behind it is Python. I'll just show you really quickly. So this is Python. I know, yeah. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I know. That's awesome. I love that you love this. So kids learn how a fulfillment center works. And I'm literally moving this with my mouse right now, just so you know. So it gives you that ability to zoom in, zoom out. I believe I already have the mission loaded with
Kathy, I can't believe they did that. That right there, that is
cool.
That's a big deal, because
Yeah.
I talk to the kids every single semester, every single year about what Amazon is doing and how they are pioneering this, the robotics, industrial engineering, like that right there. That's what I want to see.
So
and I really want to add that one of the pieces that I saw value to this is we're always talking about career ready skills. And when we're thinking about how are we preparing students for career, this is one of the most exciting pieces to me. And then just kind of going back, I guess one of my thoughts, Chris, was when I saw the piece with Java. I know as students are making their trajectory through high school, well, in the beginning, a lot of times students may take an exploring computer science class, 9th grade. 10th grade, they may take a computer science principles course. 11th grade, maybe a CSA. And I was just thinking about the value of maybe having that time in Java to support them when they reach that CSA space. But I definitely know looking at what you can do with Python here is also very exciting, which is pretty interesting to think about as well.
Well,
Yep.
Omar, the thing is with Python, it's a foundational language
Wow.
that I think I started learning it about 30 years ago, and
Mhm.
I fell away from it, and about 10 years ago it started to have a resurgence. Like all of a sudden people are recognizing the power of Python
Yep.
in industry.
Wow.
And so right now Python and not Java but JavaScript, those
Right.
are the two most sought after coding languages in the entire United States. If you can program in those two languages,
Wow.
you're called employed.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even matter if you have a CS degree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You could get a
And you
$100,000 a year job at 18 years old programming
Wow.
Python or JavaScript.
Wow.
and you could actually start that job in high school.
You know what? My son does it right now.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that one.
And
Wow.
and Michelle, I would also say to you that Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge, very basic concepts and skills, another entry level kind of course that your kids at the elementary level would just thrive in this.
And
So
Kathy, that's free.
it is free. Yes, it's about 3 hours. And so in this course, though, you start by programming and coding just one Hercules robot, but an Amazon fulfillment center is huge. They're acres.
Yeah.
And there are pods all over them. And they have multiple Hercules robots actually maneuvering all the time. So when you get into the final stages of it, your students are actually programming more than one robot. And they have to think about traffic jams and things like that. So they can't, they have to really think it through and how the sensors are going to help them through that. So in this particular mission, I'll just run it so you can see. There's you have to tell we're getting the basketball to the Amazon Fulfillment Center employee so it can start that shipping process. And this is how we order it today and get it tomorrow so quickly. And whoever thought of this is a genius. I don't know, but I love getting things that I order today, tomorrow.
Yeah, that's nice.
It is that simple. And I even said to somebody, what first grader or second grader hasn't stolen their mother's cell phone and ordered something on Amazon, right? Mm-hmm. This is how it happens. Mom's like, what? And so it's super neat. In this case, we're doing a basketball for our friend's birthday. And so they give it a real world scenario.
Yeah. Wow.
There are videos of Amazon fulfillment centers. And there are 2 Amazon future engineers that sort of guide you through this whole course. It's very worth it. And actually, let's go ahead and.
Do you have any information on what types of qualifications or credentialings or certificates that someone that took on that position would actually need?
Ooh, Omar, great idea. Great idea.
So a position for
at Amazon to be the one.
Like if they wanted to work at the fulfillment center and they wanted to
like
code.
They usually call them pullers.
Right.
Is that what they
in the
call
industry? Pullers.
Okay.
In the grocery industry, they call them pullers.
Pullers.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in the industry for 36 years.
Oh, wow.
My.
Oh.
I'm a grocery checker and a teacher.
Wow.
I put in the chat, the link for this is off of our webpage. And literally you go here, you create your teacher account and you can create individual student accounts. You can have your students do this part.
Wow, that's awesome.
However many students you want to have do this, it doesn't matter, okay? And you can actually get started right away.
And this is free?
It's free. It's a free 3-hour course, yes.
Actually, Kathy, would you be able to show me what the teachers are seeing? Because my big thing, especially in virtual, but even in the classroom, I want to be able to look at what my kids are coding and interject. Like I can see you're going down a pathway that is going to lead to horrific failure. Yes. And so I can come in and go, what about that variable? Okay, do you think that variable is truly appropriate? Like, how can I get in there so they don't go just, you know how it gets. So yes. What do you have?
Chris, right now, so as a teacher right now, one of the things that we are working to is to give you the eyes into the student's code. Mm-hmm. So really what happens, and I'll just so you can see, first off, I'll say that every course comes with a teacher's guide. So in this particular, let me go back. to my heat map for my class. So this actually is just a way for you to see how students are doing. There's no view into the actual code that they complete. And this is the individual students. So you can see, as a student, I got 100% on all of these missions in this particular course.
But is there a way to see their code? Because that would be
So
something
no,
that you
not,
could,
not yet. Not
okay,
right
then
yet.
you talk to your engineers,
We're
because
working on it.
that's
Yes.
a big
Well,
deal.
we have a workaround.
Okay.
So before students actually submit their and run their code, they do a screenshot. And we save that work as a teacher, so you can sort of look through that process. That's part of our professional development right now, because it is a workaround. It is a high priority for us
Good.
to have your eyes on that code. Yes.
Yeah, I need to see real time, because I'm telling you right now, in a 45-minute class, I'm looking at 36 students. I'm checking their code, everybody 4 times.
No, I get it.
45 minutes. Like, I need to be insanely efficient.
Yes. No, I totally get all of that. And today you have to do that virtually through screen shares, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's like a headache every day. I know it is. I do know that. Chris, are you at a Title I school as well?
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna, okay, so I'm gonna show you all exactly how you're gonna be able to get this free. I really do want to share with you a little bit about the teacher's guide, so you can actually see. I'm just gonna pop into the PDF format. That's both, real time and in a PDF, so it makes it easy. Mm-hmm. What I really want you to know about this is that all of our format of the lessons. So each pack of activities is a lesson, and you'll have learning goals, resources, and pacing guides. So I'm going to pop into the lesson for the mission that we looked at. So the basic navigation.
Okay.
The learning goals identify the key components of the drive system, explain how the virtual robot can drive. So you can see these are the things, those are our main learning goals. What are the resources that will help you? We have a slideshow on basic navigation you can share for a flipped classroom model. And Michelle, this is available for both Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge as well as Coder Z Adventure. So it's the same format, same layout for the teacher's guide. So you can see we have a supporting article for the wait for block, and here we have a YouTube video for the steering tutorial. Then it actually gives you the pacing for each lesson. So the lessons are made up of missions. And so it'll tell you, okay, so we're going to go through slides 1 through 9. And then you see in number 3, missions 1 and 2 are the activities. Then you go through the other slides 10 and 11, missions 3 through 4. Then you go through missions 5 through 9. So do you see how they've broken it up? So you work the students through it. Now, the other thing, Chris, too, you can have, and you may have students who need this, they need to go through the missions at a self-paced guide, and that's fine too. So you don't have to keep everybody on task. So you have that, you can meet those kids where they are, is the way I would say it, because I have heard you very clearly. Equity is huge for you. You want to be able to meet them where they are. We can help you do that too. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I have chosen to go away from the pacing guides and do more student oriented. So therefore you might have kids that are, programming a video game in Python, and other kids that are just still not even understand what a function is. And that's okay, because you get the higher kids to teach the lower kids, and all of a sudden we're all together, man. Either we crash and burn together, or
that's awesome.
you walk away alive, and you're the high ceiling teacher, and that's why I wanted you to see that we have a way for you to excel with your kids and have them all over the place. Yet, if I'm that teacher that is scared to death, and now I'm like wanting to engage my kids with something fun, I have guidelines for that teacher too. And so it sort of addresses both levels of teachers and both levels of students. And I think that's a really important piece for students and teachers.
Well, Kathy, what I always say to teachers that are looking to stick to the pacing guide and maintain control, I say, guess what? Give up control. It's okay.
Relinquish. Yes.
That's like
Yes,
writing a
yes.
lesson plan.
You know
Put
what?
it in pencil.
Yeah, it reminds me of that one Steve Martin movie, The Father of the Bride, to where he's in the room and the dogs are at him and he's like trying to think of the one word and it's release. Release, control. It's okay. The kids are inherently good. I swear to God they are.
It's amazing what they can learn and what we can learn once we release that control. I know.
Yeah.
I know. You're absolutely right.
And in primary, we say, let it go, let it go.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
so funny.
I'm gonna make a song about that, Michelle.
I'm gonna put the link I'm gonna put this link in your chat as well. And this is, so the first link I put in was for the Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge. And this link is to sign up free for Coder Z for 6 months. So,
Okay, so I really have to ask because, it's really exciting hearing about all these free resources. Is this something that we can add to our website? Say, hey.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, that's awesome. So I'm looking forward to making that.
I'll tell you about this piece. So our first, definitely our Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge is free. It's always going to be free. It's a 3-hour course that you would definitely want to put on the OCDE website, Omar, because any teachers can sign up for that at any time.
Do only teachers have access, or like, say, can I call a friend and say, hey, I think your 7th grader would love this?
Oh,
because I have friends that have kids that would love to do this.
Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge, your friends can sign, anybody can sign up for that.
Okay.
Come to sign up.
Thank you.
Doesn't matter. And then you can definitely, good question, Michelle. Thank you.
Actually, I'm sorry, Kathy, I don't mean to cut you off on this, but can you set a ceiling? One of my caveats that allows me to get my high flyers to help the low people is I put a ceiling. And they're like, Mr. McCoy, I can't move on. I'm like, that's right, because I put a cap and you got to go help the lowest person in the class before you're allowed to move on to the next level. Is that possible to do things like that?
I'm going to show you very quickly. Let me go back and go into my class. Wait a minute, I want to go, there it is. So here I go in and you can see I can leave all my packs open. I can go pack by pack. So that's where you actually sort of say, okay, I can't go any further. And okay, so what I want you to do now is I want you to go help these kids here. So you can actually set up and have control over how far they go, how far they don't go, that kind of thing.
And so I can assume that like 10 or 15 sets are what comprises a pack.
So here's what a pack is. So I'm going to show you. Let's go back to the Learning Center. So this is a pack.
Okay. And each of those 6 activities is what makes a mission, not a set.
Activities and missions. So there's 6 missions.
Okay. Okay.
So that's where this comprises one lesson. An activity pack comprises one lesson in the lesson plans. So that's a great question, though. That makes a lot of sense. So you may say, okay, so let's even look at Cyberbiotics 102, where you have, I think it's like, what, 15, 16 lessons here. And you may say, okay, you can only go through these missions in this pack for basic navigation before you have to go back and help the kids that haven't finished getting started.
Yeah, yeah.
That kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a great question. Yeah. So so definitely different options. And I will tell you, Chris, not only are we taking input from teachers on other things that you want to be able to do, but we're going to be adding to the courses. And so this is sort of a very big focus for us right now, and making sure that we have a lot of options for teachers like you, and we love your feedback. I will say that multiple times.
Well, I really want you to know that I first discovered the Lego Mindstorm EV3 several years ago as part of the California Math and Science Partnership Grant. And at the time, they really had this really clunky proprietary application that you had to upload to your Mac or your PC to really engage it. Or you could program it using like Robot C. And then over time, as Chromebooks proliferated the EduSpace, they began to have more ways that you can engage it with your Chromebook. And eventually we got the Chromebook application. So
Right.
admittedly, when I look at the Coder Z platform here, it does remind me of that. But the difference is here you're able to visualize what you're working on in an actual virtual space, thus
Right.
making it accessible. And even if you don't have robots, for example, it seems like you don't necessarily have to have a robot. Is that correct?
You do not.
Wow.
Yet
Wow.
every student has a robot here.
Yes. Yes. That's
See,
So,
fascinating.
I'm going to blow your mind up a little bit more, Chris. I just forgot about this.
oh, lay it on me.
I'm going to blow it
excited.
up a little bit more. So this is what we call my projects. This is a sandbox, basically,
Ooh,
for challenges. Okay.
okay,
So
okay.
you see, you can select either the EV3 or the Ruby.
Uh-huh.
If you select the EV3, your options are blocks or Java. If you select Ruby, your options are blocks or Python.
Oh,
Select Python, it is text-based. Okay,
yeah.
so put your seatbelt on, friend.
Oh, I know. That's exciting.
Wow. Wow.
Then you have some options for scenes. So you can have a playground, a cube world. I haven't seen the cube world. Let's look at that one. And this is going to take us right into the scene. So then you as the teacher actually will literally, they have, this is where they are. They have like a clean slate that they work in. So, I mean, I can just, let me just sort of move around here a little bit.
It's just like putting a robot on a table and just,
Yeah.
what do you want to do?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then you say, okay, you've got to go through these barriers, you got to go around these cars, or however you want to say it. As a teacher, you're going to take them through this whole process. And in this one, they're using Ruby, so you can have a little bit better view here
Okay.
of the you know, the area that they're working in. And okay, so we got to figure this out. So it's basically a clean slate,
Wow.
text-based Python. There you go.
Actually, Kathy, you know what? I've never seen that Ruby before. What type of sensors are on that? Do they have like the ultrasonic and the typical
yes,
things of EV3?
she has all of them. So she is, and I call her she because her name's Ruby, right? She's a Coder Z robot. She's our robot.
Wow.
There is no physical Ruby robot out there.
Okay.
We
I
don't
was
have
going to
one.
ask that.
It's a virtual robot
Yeah.
only. I know.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Okay.
Where can I buy one of those?
I know, exactly. So Chris,
Amazon, of course.
Exactly. Thank you, Michelle. That's the best. The idea is transferring that knowledge from, okay, so I learned this in Spike Prime. I learned this on Hercules. I learned this on the EV3. I learned this on Ruby. They all have similar components with some differences, and I have to be able to transfer that knowledge.
Okay, that's the connection. Hello Ruby is a coding series that I've referenced for littles. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
It does, yeah. And that may be where they got Ruby's name. I don't know. But anyway, this is where I got my projects, and this is the teacher's platform. And so that's where you'd create my projects for the students and have them go in and give them that, okay, challenge. Here's your challenge. This is what I want to see you do. And you have a clean slate, and you can use either blocks, Java, or Python.
Wow.
That's a super, super fun thing. So free, where do I start? Let me go here. And I put this link in your, in the chat. So please copy it.
Mm-hmm.
So when Coder Z created the Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge for Amazon Future Engineer, teachers loved it last spring. And they came back and they told Amazon Future Engineer, we need more curriculum. So Amazon Future Engineer came back to Coder Z and they said, great, we want to offer the curriculum free for Title I students. And they did that because there's a very specific reason. Amazon Future Engineer and Coder Z have the same mission. And our mission is to reach as many kids as possible and find the underrepresented populations. We don't care what your zip code is. We don't care what you look like. We want your brain and we want your enthusiasm. That's what we want. And so, like you talked about, Amazon has so much going on. They have so many needs, and kids can just walk away from learning these languages and walk into jobs in companies like Amazon, making good money, and believe it or not, in a virtual environment. which is even better. So now that says more for your school district, because your school district is trying to create opportunities for kids and families to stay in the district, to stay where they are. I can work from Anaheim or Santa Ana for Amazon and still stay where my family is, which is a good thing. I think that's a really good thing.
That's a big selling point.
It is. It's huge.
Definitely.
That's what a school district tries to do. People don't get that a great school district means a great community.
Yeah. And I really feel that what you're describing takes on a workforce development lens.
Absolutely.
And that sometimes is what we think about with WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act or something like that, and the opportunities there. But thank you.
Oh, boy, I love that workforce development lens. I'm going to write that down. Oh. I like that term.
Oh, thanks.
Good one.
Do I have to give you credit on that one?
Oh no, not at all. I don't
okay. I didn't know if you coined that term or not.
Oh no, I have not at all. No.
He's going to make mugs. He's going to make T-shirts, and there you go, Omar. You're going to be out of it.
Yeah. And then I got to train my students how to work for Amazon so they can get the mugs off the shelf, so Omar can make his money.
Oh wow, that's right.
Exactly. We can order it.
Yeah.
We said, yes, we'll do it. So literally Amazon is sponsoring all Title I teachers in Title I schools. So here's what you're going to do. You'll type in the name of your school and click find out if I'm eligible. This was when I was looking in Madera, California. Literally type in the name of your school, click on find out if I'm eligible, and it will ask you to fill out this form. You're going to put in, you can have up to 150 students. It will only, this form right now will only let you do 100 students. You'll need to email me to add the other 50 students and I can help you with that. Okay, so let me put my email address in here too. I just realized I haven't.
So yeah, Kathy, then give me your email because
I am doing it now. Yeah, because I know you're going to want to do more. So I will also tell you, Chris, that if you have more than 150 students, partner with another teacher and get the rest of your kids on. Whatever you need to do to get them on is what I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
Make sure that you also deselect the K, like if you're middle school, make sure you deselect K2 and select 6-8, because you can select multiple grade levels. Then you have to select the course that you want to do. If you want more than one course, that is also allowed. Just email me and I can get you set up for that.
I appreciate that.
This link, just so, because I know I sort of went through things a little quickly, you can, if these courses are hotspots as well, which will take you to a web page with more information about that course. So you'll be able to do a little bit more homework just from this link to say, okay, what did that one do again? I forgot what that one did. We have them labeled the same: novice, beginner, intermediate, advanced. So that sort of equals, and then you see the time included. So this one is about 15, 20 to 25 hours for the other three. And then the Amazon Cyberbiotics Challenge that you can sign up for straight from our webpage is about 3 hours worth of curriculum. Okay.
Wow.
I thank you guys. This has been awesome tonight.
Absolutely.
I've loved every minute of it. What other questions do you have?
Well, I know I want to share that we are looking forward to continuing to work with Coder Z. We have a session scheduled for, I think, January 20th, where we'll be coming back together, sharing up more Coder Z resources. We'll have another Coder Z representative helping us learn more about the platform and taking a culturally responsive lens. So if you guys do have any questions, feel free to drop an email to myself or to Kathy directly. And I do want to thank you all. Before we do hop off, I do want to take an opportunity to really share, working with the Orange County Department of Education, we want to do our best to elevate resources to support all learners throughout Orange County. Now, I, working as a curriculum specialist in STEM and career education, do coordinate 2 websites. One of them is the Orange County Robotics Consortium site. We didn't click on that one just yet. I think I dropped the link to the tab in that one. But for what we're talking about today is our computer science website. Here you'd find lots of resources. Maybe you're thinking, gee, how can I talk to my administrator about making computer science a broader reality here on campus? This guide here, CS for CA, was designed by administrators for administrators to help create more opportunities for conversation and dialogue around implementing computer science, as well as a few talking points. A lot of times folks may be thinking about, well, we already have educational technology. Well, that's not computer science. You can take a look at some of the prompts we have there on the page to kind of help you know more about that. Maybe you're thinking, gee, I would like to engage my students in more computer science, but we're remote. Take a look at some of the distance learning resources. It's right there on the tab there to give you a chance to take a look at opportunities. Now, as far as Coder Z goes, if you were saying, gee, where could I find that presentation? Where could I find that video? We're actually going to put it right here on the homepage right now. After all, this is CS Ed Week, and we're doing this to help promote computer science through CS Ed Week. But after that, it would have been on our, I believe, our CS resources page. You would just click on that, and we have it organized in a way for you to be able to see lots of different resources for implementing computer science. Looks like I have a little hiccup now, implementing computer science. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our home page. Again, I'll grab that link and I'll drop it in the chat. I'll stop sharing my screen right now. But again, thank you, everyone. I know that this year really has been so different in that, one, we aren't able to be face-to-face as we might normally be, and we're having to engage our students in these new remote ways. So I'm hopeful that the resources that we share, the platforms that we'll elevate, will be of value. So if there aren't any further questions.
I have one question.
Oh, sure.
For the upcoming annual OCQ seminars that we usually have, what is it, in
yes.
February?
Yes,
Will Coder Z? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Will it be Super Bowl weekend like the Saturday before? Because it always is.
Oh my. I am
Will
not
Coder Z be holding any seminars at that OCQ?
They are definitely invited to. I want to be honest with you. We have not had a chance to talk about that just yet.
Okay.
But I will.
Spot there.
Yeah, I'll definitely share that up with them, and hopefully they will be able to join us at that session.
Thank you, Michelle. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And hey, if you guys aren't already doing so, you can follow Coder Z on Twitter. If you want to drop that in the chat, what is it here? I know. That's my Twitter handle, and I think it's Go Coder.
At Go Coder Z.
There you go. At Go Coder Z in the chat.
Oh, Omar, I like that. At Dr. STEM.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? That was
nice.
Thanks. That was actually made at an ed camp. What happened was one day, many years ago now, Ann Kozma was leading a session. She's a big on Twitter and with Q, and she goes, "Hey, Omar, are you on Twitter?" I go, I don't tweet. She says, "Okay, well, you know what? You should get on. You should build your professional learning network." I said, "Really?" She says, "Yeah. So here's what I want you to do. What did you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "Well, I wanted to be a doctor, a neurologist." She says, "Okay, a doctor. And what's your passion?" I said, "Well, STEM." "Okay, Dr. STEM. That's it. Let's look it up right now." And it was available, and I would imagine in the years followed, STEM became the buzzword everywhere. And it probably would not have been available had I gotten it later. So
that's the best.
Yeah, indeed.
You know what? I know a guy that could probably sell that for you for probably about 50 grand.
Oh my gosh.
For sale.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm serious about that. I'm
wow. Wow. That's interesting. Well, hey, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday, and be on the lookout at OCQ for our Twitter, as well as check out the OCDE website. And I'm looking forward to being of resource. Please do email me if you'd like to collaborate getting any of those tools. I know we're in a stay-at-home mode, so we'll have to figure all this out, but I'm open to collaborating. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Bye now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Kathy, before you hang up real quick,
yeah.
I got something. If you could possibly talk to your engineers and take what you've done with EV3 and your proprietary robot, tap into the drones.